What up, what up, what up? Your boy is back for another great episode of the Sick Podcast, Rams Recap. Boy, we got a lot to cover today. Obviously, free agency reaction, and then a little look ahead for this season and what's probably going to happen in the draft. So, Sammy, hit that intro.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Rams Recap with LaQuan Jones.
They rush forward. Throw to Burford. He's hit. He's hit. He's sacked. He throws it away. He flings it away on fourth down. Aaron Donald got there, and you can build that man's statue out SoFi Stadium right now. The greatest of all time on defense does it in the biggest moment of Super Bowl 56.
The sickest Los Angeles Rams podcast. It's gonna be sick.
It is going to be sick. It's going to be a sick season for the Rams because, baby, I'm feeling the Super Bowl vibes. But let's get, the vibes that are down. I mean, obviously, my reaction to the Cooper Kupp situation was probably very similar to yours and the rest of the Rams nation out there. But he's now a Seahawk. And I know some people, there was mixed emotions. Like, I was just going through the timeline and really just seeing multiple reactions of it, of the good, of the bad. More so where I stand on it is like, I wish him the best of luck. And to the people that had the negative reaction to it, I can kind of understand, like, why would he go to a team within the division? And I totally get that, we had to move on from him. It was more so a business decision. Like, I don't think it was anything personal with Cooper Kupp, but with some sources that I have, being the privilege to be in the NFL that we're building, it sounded like, the Rams were just kind of tired of the old same story of injuries and not being available. And I can kind of understand that from an organization standpoint, where it's like, man, you are a dynamic player, a Triple Crown winner, a Super Bowl MVP, a Super Bowl champion. And we love Cooper Kupp since 2017, since he entered that locker room. And it's like, man, we cannot fully open up this playbook if you're not going to be healthy on the field. We can't constantly keep looking for depth at your position when guys just aren't going to be able to step up to your full capacity of talent. Like, thank goodness we got Puka Nacua, because I can't imagine what this team will look like, especially with all those injuries in 2022. And then last season, we did still had some injuries at the position. Man, without Puka Nacua, I'm not sure if the Rams were even going to be anywhere near relevant within that division. And this is the time that now, with the 49ers broke down and just depleting their rosters, and with the Seahawks still not having that identity, and the Cardinals, who knows what the Cardinals are doing, to be honest. I mean, they haven't been competitive against the Rams, I would say, in a very long time. Like, I do not fear when I see the Cardinals on the schedule. And I low-key don't even fear the Seahawks with on the schedule, even with adding Cooper Kupp at the position, because now they got some pieces that moved around there as well. I mean, I'm not afraid of a DK Metcalf, even when he was a Seahawk. Like, we had corners lock him up, make him not exist. I mean, Jalen Ramsey was probably one of the best to do it, but more so looking at that offense now with JSN, he'll possibly move to the outside, and Cooper Kupp living and breathing in that slot. But I'm confident in this Rams team. I'm confident in this Rams defense as well. To sadly say, to remove Kupp from the game plan, to remove him existing when he faces us twice a year, every year. And I think, the Seahawks and Cooper Kupp, they believe that he still has some in the tank, but I don't think the Seahawks are actually accounting for, if he does suffer injury once again, what's the backup plan? Because the backup plan is JSN, and that's kind of not a great backup plan for that Seahawks offense, with Sam Darnold still trying to go out there and prove that he could be worth this $100 million contract. But more so, man, like, it's always been business with us. It's always been a situation where we had to move on from a dynamic, a premier player. Like, I mean, we all remember where we kind of had to move on from Robert Woods. I mean, it was unfortunate the day that we get Odell Beckham, Robert Wood tears his ACL. It's really unfortunate, but he got a ring with us. That's all that matters. But we had to move on from him. It was very hard to see Bobby Trees move on. Then obviously with Todd Gurley suffered an injury that just couldn't be shaken after that. And honestly, we see where his career went. And I hate that we had to move on from him. And then there's Jared Goff, where the blockbuster trade and we get Matthew Stafford and we kind of ship Goff off because not that he was holding us back from greatness. It just was not working from a offensive standpoint. And it's business at the end of the day. And us moving on from Cooper Kupp was business. So now that I got my grievances and expressions and reactions to the Cooper Kupp, debacle, it just sucks. No clarity on his end of leaving the facility, but we shall see how he progresses this season. But now let's talk about in the house. Let's talk about Rams house. So one of the big moves that we got, obviously, to replace Kupp was Davante Adams. And let me tell you about this move. This is going to be a move that we're going to talk about 2 years from now once we hold up another Super Bowl ring in the last 5 years. Because looking at it like this, Adams gives up the best shot for stability at the position because Adams is 33 going into this season. So more so looking at it, or 32, he'll be 33, but more so looking at it is he hasn't been like an injury prone type of wide receiver. Now you're looking at Puka Nacua changing his number, which I have my thoughts about that, but we're so well past that. But this is more so looking at that Super Bowl window. We have a 2-year window with Matthew Stafford, essentially. We have Davante Adams, $42 million $46 million contract, and this is big money, and there's big expectations coming from him, and he can still ball out. I know a lot of folks will probably look at his tape with the Raiders, the Jets. Listen, these are all bad situations that he was in, and obviously him being in Las Vegas was a bad situation where he just needed to get the F out of there before he gets killed. And it's funny that Jimmy G is in the building as well with him. That's kind of funny, but that's not important. But more so looking at this whole thing, we have so much upside to be a dominant force. Like, honestly, we are one of the top teams. Like, do your power rankings. We better be in that top 3 when it comes to a Rams team as a whole. This ain't just me gloating about the offense because we got Davante Adams and Sean McVay as our head coach, and we got Matthew Stafford back locked in. Our entire team from head to toe is a threat. From the trenches to our linebacker core to our secondary, we got all the right pieces to go back to that big dance. And Davante Adams gives us that arrow pointing up, the best chance to be a contender and shut a lot of these fake teams that think they're contenders out of the way. Because honestly, I'm going to keep bringing this up every chance we get. We should have been in the Super Bowl last season. We gave the Eagles their best fight, but we could not stop Saquon Barkley. We could not stop the snow from snowing. I really feel as though we were one play away, and we will be talking about a different type of offseason right now if we had won that game. And obviously, I believe we could have beat the living crap out of that Chiefs team like the Eagles did. But speaking about not being able to stop the run, we made some free agent moves that were just key moves that I think obviously go under the radar. I mean, Poona Ford, that is a run stopper there. He is one of the most productive in the middle of the trenches to stop the run. Highest graded, here, listen to this, highest graded Charger last season against the run. And PFF, they're great at analyzing how some of these guys, how these stats work and how these grades work. But you put on the film, you see him in the trenches stopping the run, making a difference. And he can also get to the quarterback as well. So that will be amazing to have him there to fill in one of the areas that we struggled in last season. But more so looking at this Atlanta Falcons linebacker, Nathan Landman. I know a lot of people don't really know him. He's not a really big household name, but what I see is tackle production. Only 6 missed tackles last season. 6 missed tackles, people, last season. And he is a well above linebacker that can hit that 100 plus tackles mark. So this is honestly what we need. We need guys that are going to be able to stop the run, make the plays, be an off the ball type of linebacker. The dude is known for forced fumbles. I think he has 6 of them in the last 2 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. These are type of players that we need to be able to stop the run, make the turnovers, and we get to call it ball game. And I honestly think him pairing with Omar Speights, which was a gem last year, who showed up in very crucial moments, fourth downs, getting to sideline, making the big plays. I mean, he wasn't as talked about as Eagles linebacker Zach Bond, but when you talk about unknown stars, unsung heroes, Omar Speights is going to be up there on that list as well. So I am loving this linebacker addition that we just got in the offseason with Nathan Landman. Now, also, let me go back to the offense. I forgot to mention Tutu Atwell coming back with us, which is awesome. Absolutely love that signing, man. A 1-year, $10 million contract. Now, Tutu, to me, he doesn't seem like a full-time starter, but we've seen him step up in moments in time where Puka was injured, where Cooper Kupp was injured. Matthew Stafford likes to air that ball out, and Tutu gives us that best chance to stretch the field and make those big-time plays that he made last season. So shout out to him coming back, but this also means there could be opportunities for Jordan Whittington, and I definitely think he will play nice in that slot position or be able to interchange on the outside to switch with Puka, or if they want to put Devontae Adams in the slot, because Adams was actually in the slot a lot playing with the Jets. So there's opportunities on the field for him, and hopefully he survives the draft. But more so, we got our left tackle locked in for the next 3 years, man. Our highest graded tackle. I mean, look, Jackson Ulrich, I hope I'm saying that right, Jackson is locked in, and boy, he was holding it down on the blind spot. So honestly, I love this addition to the O-line. We have a stacked O-line now with Avilo, Bo Limmer, Kevin Dotson, and Rob Hamenstein. And Rob Hamenstein's actually hitting up there in age. I'll get to him in a minute of what I think we should do in the draft. But more so, these free agent additions, man, these are the moves that Les Snead needs to be credited for, because he does an amazing job. Like, we could have sat tight. We could have just done nothing, re-signed our in-house guys. And, we got Witherspoon back. The recent news, man, that was such a great move for us to do, to lock him up for another year, and hopefully he can get an extension, because I really think he balls out. And I honestly think that we should still address some of those areas in the secondary in the draft. But overall, man, this has been an amazing free agent offseason for us, because honestly, I did not expect this many moves. I didn't expect some of these names to pop up, especially Devontae Adams. So they give us our best shot to be a complete team, to be a threat, to be the most dangerous out the West. And I definitely feel as though, we're going into this draft really cool, calm, and collected, but still have some business to take care of. So I'm going to transition to the draft now. So more so looking at our needs. We need a quarterback. We need a right tackle. We need some corners, and we still need another linebacker, because I think Nathan Landman, veteran experience, he's been out there, he's been able to be in the trenches and make some big plays, but I think we still need more depth at that linebacker position. Losing Troy Reeder and Christian Roseboom, these guys, they've been with us for a while. They did what they did, man. Shout out to those guys, and good luck on their next journey, on their next teams. But we need to hit this draft, and top priority for me has to be the right tackle position with Rob Havenstein. Now, I honestly think at that 26th spot in the first round, if we do want to spend on the left or right tackle, whatever the case may be, we can move them around. We definitely need to address that. Rob Havenstein's a veteran of ours. He's been in the league for some time now, and honestly, I feel like we need to be more prepared to have some type of O-line depth, because we saw how a mess that was last season. When guys went down, our O-line looked like crap. Some of our veteran guys like Kevin Dotson didn't really have his best season, but I really don't blame the guy, because you're working with different people next to you in the trenches where guys might have assignments or guys might not know their assignments, and you really need to have that chemistry in the trenches to protect your quarterback at a 17-game span. I mean, look, the offseason, we were coming into camp with some questionable guys, with some injuries, went into the season with some injuries. These are the things that kind of make an O-line fall apart throughout the season. So now, fingers crossed, all our guys stay healthy, but let's address these issues in the draft. That 26th spot in the first round, I wouldn't mind us going, O-line there. I know we want to get a linebacker of the top. Campbell's name has been rolling around. I definitely feel as though I want to build the trenches and have that longevity, because Rob Havenstein, I think he has about a year or two left with us. And I think, honestly, he's going to ride off to the sunset and retire a Ram. So I definitely think we need to address that. Next, this is very important, because we have a small window. We have to get a quarterback that Sean McVay can develop, to hand the keys to, that we can have some upside for the future. Because as long as Sean McVay's in the building, I believe we can get back to the big dance and actually win the damn thing. We need to take advantage with Jimmy G and Matthew Stafford for these next 2 seasons or so in the room with a young quarterback and to develop them to be able to take the keys and have that same upside with this young defense, with Puka Nacua being the weapon he is, with whatever guys that we build through the draft. The quarterback needs to be a quarterback that can take the keys and give us the best chance. And I say this honestly, without this second round pick, it might be hard to look at this draft to really get a guy to do so. So I'm really curious of what Les Snead and Sean McVay are looking to do at the quarterback position with this draft class. Because to be honest, I don't think we have Jackson Dart anywhere near where we can get him in that second round, being that we don't have a second round pick. And he's damn sure probably not going to fall to the third round. I had, some people on the timeline saying they wouldn't mind like a Jalen Monroe. And I feel like Sean McVay kind of always wanted like a mobile-ish quarterback or somebody that could slide in that pocket. I mean, look, we saw Matthew Stafford take a run option and broke his ribs in that San Francisco game. I mean, insane. Like, why are we calling these plays? So just seeing that shows flashes of like maybe he does want like some type of mobile quarterback to run this offense. Like, I don't know. I really do feel as though, it's going to be difficult with some guys in this draft. I mean, maybe a Dylan Gabriel or maybe a Will Howard. Like, I don't know. There's just not that many quarterbacks that I feel comfortable with that are going to be going in that third round that I'd be like, yeah, this guy can be, the future, because we've tried this with Stetson Bennett. I mean, he's a winner and he's kind of aged in veteranship, but we see that he hasn't really stepped up to the plate to actually be the backup quarterback. That's why Jimmy G is in the building. Because if anything happens to Matthew Stafford, we're screwed. Because I would literally scream if I see Matthew Stafford on the sideline and not being able to go back in the game and I have to watch the rest of the season with Jimmy G. I know he's a Ram and I don't like to pick on our guys, but let's not forget he was an op. He was a 49er, and I don't bang with none of my ops. So he is still a 49er in my eyes, and I watched him play football for a very long time in the McVay and Shanahan era, and I am not a fan of it. I will literally scream if I am stuck with Jimmy G for an entire season or even more than 4 or 5 games. Like, that is the worst case scenario. So please, Matthew Stafford, stay healthy. But overall, this is why we need to address this problem soon. The small window is going to be our chance to really get back to the dance and hand the keys over to a backup quarterback. So that is another top priority for me. And obviously, corner and linebacker, those are the really areas that I would love to address in the draft. I honestly think those third round picks, that's probably where we'll live and breathe with the corner and linebacker depth. But more so, wouldn't be mad. We get a wide receiver or running back. Some depth there will help as well, because when you look at this offense, we're right on that razor edge of like being the most dangerous team in the NFL to being back to what it was, fighting our way to get back to being the most dangerous team in the NFL. Because if we lose Puka, great, we have Devontae Adams. But if we lose Devontae Adams, we only have Puka. So you see how that's going to be very risky with his injury history. Adams ain't young. He ain't a young buck, so he ain't going to be excluded from injuries as well, but hopefully these don't happen. Knock on freaking wood. But more so, we don't really have depth at that wide receiver position as much as we should. Jordan Whittington, I mentioned before, there could be opportunities for him this season. This dude is like a running back in open field. So he's definitely one of those guys that I would love to get the opportunities this season, the flash that he could take on the role where Cooper Kupp was living and breathing in that slot. Or like I said earlier, he can move outside, interchangeable. The dude just is a playmaker. So more so looking at we need more depth at that position as well. Running back, we got Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. I'm not too sure if the Rams are sold on Kyron Williams and his production and the upside there. Not really explosive. The fumbling issues. I've talked about this on this pod way earlier in the season. And honestly, again, we draft a running back every single year in the McVay era. It doesn't matter who it is. And Ronnie Rivers came back. Shout out to him, a free agent that we were locking up. But more so, this draft is going to be one of the most important drafts for the Rams organization. So we need to get the depth. We need to find a quarterback for a backup, and we need to find some depth at some key positions. So Les Snead, we trust, and McVay, we trust. So I definitely feel as though this should be a good draft where Rams fans will be very happy with the final product. So that's all I got for you guys today. this has been a great time, man. I can't wait to get back on here next week to react if we make any more moves, if there's any more draft rumors of guys meeting with us and potential rookie prospects to come in and help out this Rams team to get us some depth. But man, I cannot wait for April to see who comes in and see in September who we're rolling out of there, and our way, the road to the Super Bowl start. So I'll see you guys again next week. Thank you guys. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the pod, and make sure you're in the comments. I read everything. If it's TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, it does not matter. I'm in the comments with you in those trenches talking nothing but Rams. So it's been another great episode of the Sick Podcast, Rams Recap. Sammy, hit that outro.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Rams Recap with LaQuan Jones on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.